Sugar is bad. Sugar is a drug. Sugar is bad for kids and causes them to go crazy. Sugar should be avoided at all costs. We've all heard these things, right? We've heard these types of statements again and again until they're ingrained into our brains. But what if they aren't completely true? In my studies as an exercise physiology major and for my personal training certificate, I've learned that there are a lot of misconceptions that we as the general public just believe. One of these misconceptions is that sugar only has detrimental effects and should be completely avoided. However, we can't let these commonplace misconceptions rule our lives and direct our actions. We need to know all the facts before we decide. That's why I'm going to give you all of the facts about sugar, the good facts and the bad, so that you can decide for yourself what you think. I'll start off with the bad. So, sugar does have some negative effects. One of the most irrefutable negatives about table sugar is that it causes dental caries. More than 80% of the world's population deals with dental caries, and almost a quarter of adults in the U.S. have untreated caries, according to statistics published in the Advances in Nutrition journal. We all know that dental work is costly and not always covered by insurance, and dental cavities themselves can be painful, unpleasant thing to deal with. So it is true that table sugar can cause those things. However, with that being said, the World Health Organization has given recommendations that state we should keep our added sugar intake to less than 10% of our energy intake. They haven't said anything about cutting it out, but to reduce the effects of dental caries, we do need to reduce. Another well-known effect of sugar is that it can cause type 2 diabetes. So there have been strong links to support this statement. However, correlation does not imply causation in this case. Sugar itself doesn't cause diabetes. It is the overuse and abuse of sugar, combined with other unhealthy living habits like lack of exercise and obesity, as well as some genetic components that can lead to type 2 diabetes. So, while the Diabetes Care Journal has noted an association between sugar and diabetes, it is not the only factor at play. It is suggested, however, that individuals with type 2 diabetes steer away from table sugar and more towards artificial sweeteners, but that is only if you're already diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. We've also heard that kids shouldn't eat too much sugar or they will be hyperactive, or that sugar after a certain time of night isn't recommended. We've all heard that growing up. However, in all of my research, I couldn't find a single study to support this statement. I could, however, find a lot of research refuting this statement. For instance, this is an excerpt from a study published in the Psychological Record. It says, in a double-blind, controlled trial over 9 consecutive weeks, the families of 25 normal preschool children and 23 school-age children who are described by their parents as sugar-sensitive followed a diet high in sugar with no artificial sweeteners for 3 weeks, and then a diet low in sugar but high in aspartame for 3 weeks, and then a diet low in sugar with saccharin as a sweetener for 3 weeks. The children were measured and scored on numerous behavioral and cognitive measures. The researchers found that, quote, for the children described as sugar-sensitive, there were no significant differences among the 3 diets of any of the 39 behavioral and cognitive variables. There is absolutely no link that could be found between hyperactivity and sugar. It's just a myth that has been spewed over time. And other studies have been done as well, all of which debunk the myth that sugar causes hyperactivity. Sugar also has been thought of as an addictive substance. However, just as the theory above was debunked, this theory has also been debunked by research. One journal article published in July of 2017 says, claims about the addictiveness of sugar are based largely on findings from few animal studies, whereas there is a lack of direct human evidence for symptoms of sugar-related substance dependence. Again, just as before, significant research has shown that there is not a reliable link to prove that sugar is addictive. It is just another myth that has been put out in the world that's trying to demonize sugar. On the contrary, sugar does have positive effects on the body. Sugar has been shown to actually increase athletic performance. Glucose and sugar from carbohydrates fuel the body better than any other fuel source, especially during exercise. Why do you think that professional athletes will sometimes eat a candy bar or applesauce before a game? It's because they know how to fuel their body optimally, and they know that when they're filled with sugar, their bodies can operate optimally. Another positive effect is that sugar can also increase cognition. Glucose, again, is the main fuel source for the brain. The brain can only use glucose and ketone bodies as fuel for the brain, and ketones should be avoided as they have dangerous effects. So, that leaves glucose, sugar, from carbohydrates and other sources as the main fuel source for the brain. The British Journal of Nutrition states, "A glucose load acutely facilitates mental performance, particularly on demanding long-duration tasks." So, as that quote shows, it can actually increase our cognitive function and our mental performance. So, I hope you can now see there are a lot of different aspects to sugar, and many of the theories we've all heard growing up are just simply untrue. So we can't believe everything we hear. Yes, there are some detriments to sugar, but conversely, there are also benefits. Sugar isn't as bad as a lot of people make it out to be, and shouldn't be unnecessarily demonized. I hope I have given you the facts that are needed for you to make an informed decision about your own sugar intake. For me, I choose to continue to include sugar in my diet, while remembering that there should be moderation in all things.